Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Welcome to Spicy Brain. We're going to talk today. Woohoo! I'm so excited to see you.
Excited to see you too.
Aw, we're going to talk today about impatience.
Ooh, my natural state.
Okay, so I think this is maybe more than impatience. This is like, we're going to call this kind of rage quit. Okay, like you're going to rage quit on something. So we're going to bring up a couple situations like we normally do. Then we're going to dig into that brain ears. We're going to look at maybe some strategies you might have, and then invite our community to help talk us through it as well. So okay, Miss Spicy Brain.
Yes.
I am thinking to a situation. You know, this is years back. This started, but you were maybe. I think high school or something. And I can't remember why, but we had to move all of this stuff out of your room. I mean, our family was very odd. We all changed rooms like several times during our lives. We would just like switch rooms. But I don't remember why we were changing rooms. You might.
I think because you went to college, right?
Oh, yeah. Maybe. And you were,
or you were getting married or like. No, you weren't getting married. Maybe you you had finally moved in. Like you moved out of college, so you didn't need your room anymore.
Okay, and I remember for some reason we were trying to go through your stuff, your childhood things, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, Megan, you can't possibly need 100 stuffed animals or whatever it was. And I was
Wrong.
like, you were like, wrong.
Wrong.
I do. And I was like, all right, Megan, here. You can keep any that you can name. And
Mistake number one.
You must have named. I don't know if you made up the names. No, I don't think so. I think they were their real names, but you knew all of them. And then I had to like strategize again because the whole idea is like we were trying to declutter, right? So then I'm like, okay, you can keep your top 10. You can't keep 100. You must have had 500 t-shirts of some sort, and so then we were trying to take pictures of the t-shirts so that you didn't keep them all. Whatever it was, you wanted to keep everything. So I remember though at one point, and this has been true over the course of time, which was again me not being curious about you but trying to kind of fix you, I think is kind of what I was always in the mindset of originally. And so I would come in with these strategies that worked really well for me and were epic fails with you, right? And it her face, if you can see it, is like, yes, they were epic fails.
That's right.
So here I am, the older sister. I know best, right? And I'm trying to help you declutter. Of course, yeah. And I remember there would be these moments and you would just sit there with your hands like in a fists, kind of shaking, and you would just be like, I can't. And you weren't trying to hurt me. You weren't like, well, you might have wanted to hurt me. I don't know, but like you weren't trying to push it out on me, but you were just like internally just so frustrated and I don't know, angry and whatever it was. And I just thought we could talk through that a little bit because I don't think we've ever really unpacked that. We've kind of moved past it, I think, but not unpacked it. So I thought maybe we could unpack what was happening when you were having like the fists of fury moments when you would like rage quit whatever stupid idea I had for you in your ADHD.
Fists of fury. That's the name of this. That's the name of this podcast. I already know that one.
Talk me through it.
Okay, let's think through this for a second. So, I would be like, we'd want to be taking stuff like the stuffed animals, for instance. The stuffed animals, because I was so other and so weird, they were my best friends. They were the ones who stayed with me and kept me safe at night and surrounded me and loved me and cheered me on. And so they were like, you were asking me to get rid of something so special to me. And that emotion triggered the fists of fury, because what I have experienced in my life is that my emotions don't matter to people is how I've perceived it. Mm-hmm. That I have too many emotions. I am too sensitive. I'm all of the things that I'm too everything. And so it's like another moment where someone is not understanding that I love these things and I can't get rid of them. And why would you ask me to? And like, I just want to hurt. And it's like not something. It's like I want to just hurt myself because it's easier to hurt myself before someone else hurts me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's really, really hard to hear, but it does make sense.
And now that I've said it out loud and you're saying this, I feel bad.
No, but I mean, don't feel bad. It makes sense. I mean, it does that I'm asking you to do something. I'm not being curious about it. I'm just saying this thing has to get done. And you're not able to vocalize or verbalize at that time that that's not going to work for you, or advocate for yourself maybe.
Well, and I was thinking to myself, like, what if there must have been something else I could have decluttered. And then I keep thinking about that big drawer. Like I had the top drawer and then the two side drawers, and there was like a big deep one that was like an abyss. It was like a Mary Poppins bag of crap. And just kept on going. And I'm thinking like, well, that could have been a place that I could have decluttered. But then in thinking about decluttering that and the emotional toll that would take on me, it's a different type of emotion because it's all of the decisions that I had not made. Because there's all these decisions that have to be made with these items and they're all deferred. So you're now asking me if I was going into that big cavern, it would be a question of, now, Megan, we're going to face all of your deferred decisions right now in one moment. And the idea of like doing that just overwhelms my brain so much. Because it's like, well, I couldn't make the decision before. What makes me think I'm going to be able to make the decision now? And also 100 of those decisions in one day. And so then I get super frustrated and like, that one's a little, it's like, it's not really a rage quit. It's just like I'm quitting in a very quick way. I'm like, a quick quit.
Yeah.
It's a Q squared. It's a quick quit. just shut it off. Just do nothing.
Done.
No.
And that's more related to, I failed at being able to do this before, and I'm going to probably fail at doing this now again. So I don't want to see that.
I will. Gonna fail at this again. Because I failed at it before, and so the only solution was to just put it in a drawer and hide it.
Quick quit.
Yep.
Interesting. So when it's more emotional and the frustration's coming from something deeply emotional, that kind of leads more to like this rage feeling or this feeling of like intense emotional frustration versus like just quit. I'm not doing this. I'm out of here. I don't want to be reminded of this failure again.
Just like boop. Just nope. No. I'm hiding it away. Like that's a total compartmentalization. I used to think that I was not good at compartmentalizing. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, I am the queen of compartmentalizing.
Is that the nature of ADHD? Is that you can compartmentalize because you don't remember the next,
probably,
right? You know?
Well, yeah. Like, I mean, you, it's there. You just hide it away so that you don't like, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And so you don't have to deal with it until you have to look at it again. And then when you have to look at it again, that's when like all of the anxiety and frustration comes back because you're like, I don't know what to do with it because I don't have a butler to tell me what to do with it. But then on the other hand, like you're right, if it's emotional, it's so deeply connected to something that it's a different type of reminding me. It's reminding me of how lonely I am or how annoying I am or how, just it's reminding me of something negative about myself that I don't want to look at. And so I think that's when I rage quit. I literally turned into a 5-year-old. That's what in my therapist's office. I would turn into a 5-year-old. Like I would like my arms, my hands would get, all shaky, and then like my legs would flail out, and I would just feel like I would be like almost a tantrum because like
a toddler.
Somewhere around the age of 5 was when like I couldn't really express my emotions as well, and so and I started probably having more of them, and so like I would just go right back to being a 5-year-old.
Wow. I am so curious. I want to dig into this a little bit because, it really impacted our relationship for a number of years. And part of it's on my end, not being curious and not really listening. And so I think part of that frustration, it sounded like, was in not being able to express to me what you needed, not even maybe knowing what you needed always. Yeah. But definitely not being able to express like, I need you to stop. This isn't okay. I need to feel like I can feel safe, and I don't feel safe right now. Or you're asking me to do something in a way that doesn't work for me. And then.
Yeah. 'Cause now I would just be like, no, Michelle, like that's not going to work for me. Like I would be able to say that. And if it was something emotional, I would just say, no, that doesn't work. I need to find some other solution because I now know how to deal with those emotions.
So in digging into that a little bit, what did you, because again, whether it's emotional failures or interpersonal failure, whatever it is that you're feeling like maybe is triggering that frustration, is it, I guess I don't know if I have the right question for it, but I'm curious about what it was like for you, and what are you saying to yourself internally when you're in the fists of fury in that moment, or are you? I mean, saying something.
Oh no, I'm saying really horrible things to myself in the fists of fury. It is, once again, Megan, you're a complete failure. You're a piece of shit. You suck. Whatever it is that I've told myself, and it's all from the past. And so it's like I'm not going to be able to deal with it, or it'll be like, that the quick quit, quick quit. Quick quit. That one is definitely like, I can't do it. Like I've never been able to do it before. I can't do it. So just whatever. No, but the fists of fury for sure is like, it is me saying really, really horrible things to myself that you would never say to another person, or you should never say to another person. The best, actually, I have something I can show you. Maybe you can help me to describe it, but let me grab it.
Yeah.
I found this mask that I made in PHP. And it's a mask that's like, I don't know, what would you say? It's like red and pink and yellow and orange. Like it's very bright and vibrant.
Yeah. It's kind of sunshiny colors, or, like a morning sunrise colors.
And can you see what's happening right here on the eyes, Michelle?
It's darkened.
Yeah. So the darkenness is like, it's coming through a little bit. So like when I turn it over, this is what's on the inside.
Oh, wow. Wow, the inside is just black and white and full of really negative words like worthlessness, failure. You're worthless.
You suck. Stupid, invalid, lazy, fat, loser, failure. And so the representation was that like this black part around the eyes was actually kind of starting to seep out now. And it was starting to like take over the veneer of like the happy, bright person. But like, I was still happy and bright, but like if you could pay enough attention, if you pay close enough attention, you would see that there's not something right behind my eyes. And so all of these words are the things that I was saying to myself in those fists of fury.
Yeah, and as someone who loves you and was, feels somewhat like I provoked some fists of fury, I would never want I would never say those things to you. I don't believe those things. And I would never want you to say them to yourself. I wonder what might be different now between how we work together, or what's helpful to you now, either you advocating for yourself or maybe the way that I'm going through, because I still am somebody who is a bit of your butler. I'm still helping you declutter sometimes. We still do those types of things together, but I do feel like the relational aspect of it is different.
I truly think it is a 50-50 process. On my end, I 100% had to address my emotional issues and take responsibility for my mental health. Addressing, these things that are in my head that, like, even up until probably this last year, and I still struggle with some of the words on that mask. And, I remember, like I was telling you, I didn't want to put my face on anything on the podcast because I felt fat. Right. And I remember Mike so clearly was like, Megan, you are a beautiful person, both inside and out. And just like hearing him say those words, they've resonated with me. Like, as I was just saying them back to you, I thought for a second, maybe I won't remember them because sometimes I forget certain words, but like I forced myself to like hear those words and play a tape in my head over and over again so I'd remember the good stuff that someone said. But back in the day, I used that same skill to replay all of the bad stuff people would say. And I know I'm not alone in this because I've heard other people talk about this, like where, they'll get comments and like they'll get one bad comment and like 10 amazing ones. And it's the one bad one they get that they remember. Right. And so I think I had to take responsibility for my own side of it. Yeah. And I wasn't sure if you were going to take responsibility for your side of it. And I had to be okay with letting you take responsibility for your part of it. Right. And I think that's the thing that like I didn't know if like we were going to have a relationship beyond, just the like typical, like be like to the like extent we have right now. And I think like you allowing yourself to like stay curious and to open up and to research and to learn. I think that has been the other side of it. Like I can only do so much. And I think that's the part that is hard, is that I have to at some point stop and say, I have done all I can do. Now the other person has to meet me halfway. Yeah. And I think it's been interesting as you're saying that. One of the things I've noticed is I'm much more attuned, I think, to your fluctuations in energy and fluctuations in mood. And knowing that that's actually part of the diagnosis is so helpful, right? So there'll be times, where you're coming in hot, or you're in this space and now I'm able to step back and go, can you tell me more what's happening right now? I'm seeing this. I'm able to label it a little bit, I think, sometimes more, just because I've done my own, my own therapy as well, right? Like I go get my head flossed as well. And it's really, really helpful to get over my own, not get over, but get more in tune with my own emotions and understand my own shortcomings and vulnerabilities. But I'm able to do that a little bit more, I think. And I think learning about what ADHD is the most powerful tool you can have with somebody you love that's going through it. Because otherwise, you're expecting somebody who's got, a very specific difference in how they process information and how they remember or don't remember things. And it's easy to take it personally. Super easy to take it personally. And so I think that's true. And I think it is 50-50 or 100%, something like that, right? Like it's having to learn and understand it. Yeah. And if you're a person who, I know for you, like taking things personally, like you feel things much more deeply than I do when it comes to that kind of stuff. And so if you think that, like, if you're taking personally, like, a behavioral trait that I have no control over, then it does make it challenging. And I would say that, like, if I hadn't had therapy, then the best way for someone who's dealing with someone who hasn't had therapy is to research and to know all of the symptoms and all of, like, so that, like you were saying, that you can be prepared and you can remind yourself that, like, it isn't personal. That is just who they are. I think that's one level of relationship. Then the other level, which I think is nice, like where we're kind of going towards right now, is that because you and I both have had therapy, I have noticed a difference in our relationship and how much more mature I feel like our relationship is, and how I feel more of a friendship, like a genuine, loving friendship with you than I ever had growing up, because I think we both have had therapy. And I noticed the change. I did start seeing the change, like when you started doing. I didn't want to bring it up because I know it's like it's your journey, but I personally saw a difference in how we would interact.
Yeah, and I'm happy to talk about that openly. I'm currently doing EMDR, which I don't remember actually what it stands for, but I'll have to look that up and post it. But basically, it's sort of, you have these two, like, sort of buzzers, at least the way I do it. Mine is in your hand, right, left, and you're focusing on things that you want to explore and really trying to figure out what the positive behavior should be, right? This is the thing I think about myself. This is the thing I'm not confident in myself about. And I'm trying to, very similar to what you're saying. Like, you're saying you were trying to implant the positive thing, but there's obviously, like, very deep things that, happen in my past that I have to figure out. And in order to do that, I have to go through this process, and that process is actually very vulnerable. I feel a lot of emotions. I think I've cried more in the last, so I never cried. I stopped crying for, like, years. Yeah. Right. And so, it's hard,
I had to go to grad school in order to learn how to cry. So I get it.
Yeah. It was just, it's just the way it was. But I do think that it helps me to know that I'm, I think I can be, I'm not always, but I think I can be a better friend. And I think there's less about me trying to fix myself or fix others. It's just more being present. And I think that's been really, really powerful. Even with that, though, until I learned all the symptoms that, like, we're going through in this book, Driven to Distraction, I didn't know some of these things were part of your diagnosis of ADHD.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So it's like, we're sitting here, we're like, oh, well, that's why that's that way. Okay, well, what can we do? What are strategies? What can help? It's like, I don't know, if I had a broken leg, you wouldn't be, like, asking me to run a marathon, and, I might still be able to get from point A to point B, but I'm not going to do it in the same way if I don't have two working legs. Right. So,
but I think that's, like, what I think is that's the separation, right? So, like, if you're talking about having a good relationship with somebody who has ADHD, it's the ADHD person's side. Like, it's important for them to learn about ADHD, and maybe that's what you bring. You're the one who's learning about it and bringing it to that person so that they understand it. And you can have those conversations. That's, like, the very baseline of a good relationship with someone with ADHD. And then if you want to take it to the next level, and that's when therapy comes in.
Do your own work.
Do your own work, you each other. Yeah. And then you can... Yeah. Because, like, you're right. Like, we still screw up all the time, because if you love someone, you're going to hurt them. It's inevitable. And Definitely. So the question is, how do you repair? And I think that the way that you repair now is so much better than we've had in the past. And the same goes for me. Like, the way I repair, I feel like is much more mature than I was in the past. I'm just like, I'm just going to run away and not talk about it.
It's so much easier when you can just call yourself out on your own stuff, right? And when you realize you're doing it. I mean, that the problem is, the work is, you can't just say, like, oh, I'm going to feel better about myself, right?
Yeah.
And just try to, white knuckle your way towards that. You know, you have to figure out how to dig deep in whatever way that works for you. It doesn't have to be therapy always, but I think therapy definitely can help. But you know, that's like that process of going through, and for me, it was like decluttering my mind. Right. Yeah. So it's like I was doing an outward manifestation of something I needed to do internally. And so now I have a place for things in a way. Yeah. You know, it's not like those things that happened in the past aren't still there. It's just I've got them in proportion. You know, I've got them in a spot that makes sense. And that has helped me for sure with our relationship, because I think once my things are put away or put in a place that makes sense to me, then I have more space for everybody else. Yeah. Right. And learning has been so impactful because it's impacted also my work life as well, and my other relationships with people who I love who have ADHD, and I just, my tolerance for it has come through understanding it. Yeah.
Michelle, EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Yes. I don't know that it's for everybody. I don't think I could have gotten to where I am without it. I mean, I know I couldn't have, because I did so many years of therapy before that. And
I know I tried doing it, and I had to do prolonged exposure therapy. I couldn't do the EMDR, but like prolonged exposure therapy worked for me. So I think it's like there's no one size fits all with therapy. That's the hard part. Sure. It's just about like each person finding what works for them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think everyone necessarily with a neurospicy brain, you know, is coming with the same traumas. But yeah, it's possible, right? I mean, it's possible to have been told awful things. My situation was not that. Mine came from completely different. You know, I was always one of those students who did well, and I was getting gold stars, and Megan can roll her eyes right now because she knows that's true, and she had to go to school. She had to follow me in school.
They called me Michelle. Mm-hmm.
No trauma there.
Mrs. Ledoux. All through 2 years with her, freshman year and senior year. No, it was just senior year. Yeah. Michelle, my Adesky. It got so much to the point like where this really cute guy that I was like, didn't know I existed was like, Mrs. Ledoux, her name's Megan. And I was like, he knows my
name. So you feel like you would have had less frustration though overall in life had you known more about yourself, had everyone come from this place of understanding around what you were going through?
I think the rage quitting, yeah. I think the rage frustration would not have been as intense, because when we're talking about this, I was thinking, well, if I didn't have trauma, now, I've dealt with more of the trauma, and like, what do I experience now? Because I don't really feel like I have a ton of the rage quitting, only when there's like emotional stuff that's like being thrown at me. Mm-hmm. But I very much so have an off switch where
the quick quit.
The quick quit. Oh yeah. The quick quit is, she is alive and she is strong. She is like, no, what we're not going to do is that. So bye-bye. She's,
and that's when you know you've failed at something multiple times and you're fairly confident you're going to fail again.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like we've been talking about potential jobs, right? And part of me is like, I have failed at all my other jobs, and so of course I'm going to fail at this one. Quick quit. Just quick quit, because like it's going to happen. Like there's no way I can do this. And so my brain just wants to go somewhere completely different. The other thing is like organizing some things. Like I had something in my head actually, and I can't remember it. Okay. So I'm doing handy gal services, right? I'm like a handy helper, and I'm trying to get scrappy and just, earn money. So
you're putting up curtains and you're fixing people's this and that and whatever, all of your awesome skills,
whatever it is.
Yeah, stuff you learned in the theater. Good job.
Yeah. And but like the idea of putting myself online and like having to go into Facebook and submit and say to people like, hey, this is who I am, and like having to write that and all of that, just like I instantly get a quick quit. I'm like, nope,
not doing it.
You know.
Okay, so let's go on this then. So what might be some of the strategies with the quit that you might do to help push yourself past that, or do you have strategies about that yet?
I feel like this is the exact reason why I beat myself up right now all the time. Is that I have this intense quick quit. That if things just don't come to me so easily, then I don't have a task list, or I don't have like a game plan. Like when I ring the butler and he doesn't show up. Of course it's a man. I love all of the men. I'm just
we love the men.
We love them.
Yeah.
But like right now, this is one I still struggle with, because I'm in my home. I get up in the morning. I start my day, and then I'm like, now what? Quit. Okay, I finally get dinner. Okay, I finally get enough thought process to make breakfast. Okay, I go into the kitchen, I make breakfast, I sit down, I eat breakfast. What's next? Quit. And then I maybe figure out I should and then I really genuinely don't know what else I have to. It's whatever is like on fire, that's the next thing. Because I know myself, and I know that I'm not going to remember. And I know that I won't even remember that I know I remember, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I literally, it's like, I know I have to eat. I know I have to get dressed most days. I know I have to clean. And now I'm working on I know I have the podcast I got to work on. But if I don't literally, we had been doing a lot of these, we had made a bunch of them. And I had been editing them throughout the weeks, and then I ran out because we were, we were needing time to not record. And last week was the first week I did not have something to edit after I was done on Thursday. And I literally was like, what do I do with my time? Quit. I just shut down because I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Beats me. I guess I'm just here. I felt like a beached whale or something. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing, guys.
Well, okay. So I have seen you, though, in the past have some strategies, which maybe you're not remembering right now. So I'm going to bring them up because I do think they've worked for you at times.
So I'm going to ring my butler's memory.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome. Well, and that is what you do. You say to Brian or to me, I need to be stage managed right now. I don't know what I'm doing. And you always use a theater term, right? But I need you to just manage. You need to butler me. You need to stage manage me and give me the next set of tasks. That's a strategy I know you've done that has worked.
Yeah.
I think the other thing you've done is put yourself in environments that are very structured. So we were talking, the last podcast about, or one of the podcasts about work, and you picked really exacting jobs. But I think part of that is in that there's this internal structure within that doesn't, or external structure, I should say, that you don't then have to provide the structure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the catch-22, right? I want to have a situation that allows for me to have structure. But if it's the wrong kind of structure, then it's going to be a giant mess. So it's I do pick these exacting jobs thinking hey, they're going to provide me structure. That's great. Because if I'm in, I tried doing administrative assistant work, which I could be really good at that potentially. But that's you are someone's butler at that point. like brain wise. You are their butler. And I'm like,
yes.
I am the worst administrative assistant known to man.
Yeah.
So I can't do that kind of work. But like if someone gives me, you know, so it's so hard. Cause like I feel that right now. I feel that every day I get up and I feel like I'm not doing enough with my time. I feel like I'm wasting away, and it's so hard for me to be by myself and to only have my thoughts. Cause it's like, she cray. she has it, like, I think that is part of it. Like I get to a point where I'm trying to think of what's the next thing to do. And I get so frustrated because I know it's never going to come. And then I quit. And I go take a nap. Or I go, like, I know I'm not supposed to get on my phone. And I just, like, I put it in I grab my phone and I just lay in bed because, like, I don't know what else to do. And so I feel very, what's the word? I feel very incompetent. And I feel like I'm just failing at everything.
And that's part of that internal mask written, right? That is these terrible things that you say to yourself.
Yeah.
And instead of having to like feel that or deal with that or let it keep going, maybe you just kind of quit. You quit.
I quit. I just, bye-bye.
Yeah. So one of the things I remember you saying is how important it is to have visual things up on your mirrors and around to remind you of the positive things you're doing and the successes that you're having, and that really actually is super important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, I was like trying to think of like what, my brain went somewhere else for a minute. And I was trying to stay on that track. But whiteboards have helped. You know, like getting like little whiteboards. That helped me a lot when I had a very clear idea of like creating Linda, my my Jersey gal.
Your alter ego.
My alter ego, who I'm now embodying with this amazing sequin jacket.
Sequins. Love it. Yes.
Turning into Linda. It's a tough one. Yeah, because like okay, so it's funny, when we were originally kind of pre-interviewing this question, I had trouble thinking about what it is I do, like what this is, and it's like I think it actually is so ingrained in me every single moment of my life, because I think that's why it takes such a long time to do stuff, because my brain just naturally quick quits. Just does. Like I can't stop it. And so if I want to work on something, you know, being in that uncomfortableness, like, you know, me being by myself is asking me to be in a very vulnerable space 24/7. Like there's, because, you know, when we're talking about why my brain quick quits and like I don't want to necessarily think about things, like I'm having those emotions all the time. And so my brain is just like shutting it down quickly, because it's like, nope, you don't have time for this. You're going to get trapped in that. You're going to get sucked in or whatever. And it's like it's this natural, I see this like trap door that just like, it's like, it's automatic, and you can't get in or out because there's just so much of it in there. I don't know if any of that made sense.
Well, it does, in that I've been reading recently about how much even like, you know, finding your keys is connected to emotions. And sometimes for those with ADHD, that emotions are what become the butler, which is interesting. It's like rewiring to try to help you remember something. So everything seems quite, I would imagine, quite dramatic in a sense. It's like, you know, I've lost my keys, and that creates like you have this huge amount of anxiety around it, or negative self-talk or whatnot, you know, going. The negative self-talk also is an organizing these emotions, and the negative self-talk can help you to organize your thoughts, even if it is not mentally healthy necessarily. Like it's not a healthy way to do it, but it is an organizing tactic. So you can, and I never really thought about that until you were just saying it. I was reading it and it was like they were saying, well, you can organize around negative self-talk. So at least it's like you have some control over your brain if you can remember to say these horrible things. Right?
Interesting.
And I can organize my brain around emotional reactions to things, or I can try to remember things through emotion. When I'm feeling this, I'm going to be like, oh, I've lost my keys and that's what I'm looking for. Or, oh, if I have this kind of emotion, it might mean that I'm late, or, whatever it is. It's like, it's using different parts of your brain because the other parts are underdeveloped or not quite wired in the same way. And I think that's interesting when you're talking about it, because it sounds to me like you're trying to create a structure because your brain's all over the place, and so it's just the structure isn't particularly helpful.
Yeah, it's not a positive structure.
Right.
It's a structure rooted in negativity.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're right. Like when I'm thinking about the other week when Mike and we all met, and I was thinking, I'm like looking at my phone at the time, and I was waiting for a feeling like this like rush of anxiety of like, you got to get your butt up and do this right now, Yeah. And you're right. Like it was a feeling that I was waiting for. Huh. And it sucks being ADHD.
Well, I mean, I think it's true. It's really, really hard, and it's difficult to explain. And I don't know that many people. I've lost you now. You're just like laying.
I don't wanna. This is me rage quitting. I don't wanna. No, I think that was me like quit quitting.
Quit quitting. Yeah.
You just saw it in real time, Michelle.
I'm very curious about our community and what they might do in these moments, if they've found any strategies that have helped with that feeling of frustration and wanting to quit. I think this is one that we probably have a little more exploration to do on. It sounds like being more curious 100%. About it at some point, maybe not today.
No, I don't have a problem talking about it because it's actually happening in real time, so people can totally learn from my mistakes and my awesomeness. I'm just allowing myself to have these emotions so that we can explore them. And
absolutely,
I just felt like I needed to like lean back in my chair and disengage for a second.
You do you, babe. That is awesome.
But okay, so how the part like you were saying, sometimes you have a path that you want us to go on and not necessarily like where I'm seeing this right now is that this really is a frustrating part of my life. Yeah. Is that my life is so run by emotions. And so like it is a very real topic at this moment in my life, because I'm trying to figure out, do I stay doing like this part-time work and try to make like this dream come alive, or do I go and get a real job and suffer, but I at least am making money? And neither one of them is a good solution for my ADHD. Because being at home is also just as hard, because I'm by myself and I don't have any structure. So like, and then being at work is just as hard because I have too much structure and then I get exhausted. So it's like I don't like, we've talked about wanting to create a business that is good for my brain. And like, I don't know if that exists. I genuinely don't know if that exists now.
Well, I'm going to pose a thought that we can come back to. So I kind of call them my like lily pads or something, like something that's like out there, but doesn't have to be decided.
Yeah.
I think it's a challenge, and I think that it's frustrating because we don't have an answer yet. And I know the impulse is to quit, and not want to keep being curious about this, I think we should stay curious. I think we should stay curious on this, and we should come back to it, and we should keep thinking about it. And we will keep iterating until we find the things that do work for you. Because there's a lot we haven't tried yet. And I think there's a lot that other people may have tried that we're genuinely asking. Like, you're genuinely saying, this is something isn't something I have figured out. And I can see it with the tears in your eyes that this is real for you. And it's real for those that love you too, right? And this is important. So I'm putting out the genuine call for what people have done. And I would like to stay curious if that's all right with you.
Yeah, we'll stay curious.
Okay. Thank you for being vulnerable with me today.
Thank you. I love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Spicy Brain. This series has us focusing more specifically on ADHD and its symptoms, and we're diving deep on a list that we got from the book Driven to Distraction. If you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoy laughing and sometimes crying with each other, please share it with someone you think would benefit from the conversation. Make sure to follow us on whatever platform you're currently listening to so that you can get notified each week. Next week, we'll be talking about impulsivity and changing plans, spending money impulsively. We'll find all about Rosie's little brain and what's going on with that spiciness of hers. Just remember, whatever you think about during the week, make sure to stay curious. We'll be right back with you next week.